can't get out of. And now y'all want to bring something to disrupt the life of this county. It's bull crap. Ms. Adams, let's talk about you. Let's talk about how I went to you and John Vanoy multiple times about a dispatcher that you have, about her giving me information about multiple cases, which I've stated verbally, and they've all been true. One thing I've learned about Appomattox County is y'all allow crooked individuals to stay in their position to prove people wrong or try to prove people wrong when they're right, and it ain't working. Everything I have said about this county, about particular people in this county, has been true, okay? Y'all need to start doing your jobs, all of y'all, every single one of y'all, all of y'all. Y'all need to start doing your jobs, standing up. Is it not true that in a dispatcher's contract that she's not allowed to divulge information? Why did I know information from Donald Hemingway before he ever went to trial? Why did I know information about Amanda Turner when she never, or her spouse, for child sexual abuse that was reported by middle school? Why was she never charged? You let one of your employees tell me information that I should not know, okay? And y'all hid it up until January of this year so she could get a job at Farmville. Shame on y'all. This is the problem with the trust in this community. We don't have it for y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Does anyone else would like to speak for the board at this time? All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda. This time we have appearances. These are scheduled times. Are the board allow citizens organization outside of county government to discuss matters of importance to the board. First up is Ms. Alicia Wright, Director of the Appomattox Department of Social Services. I request her to appear before the board to provide an update on DSS services.
Good evening. Tonight I would like to share some critical points regarding my first year of service as Director of Social Services for Appomattox County. We have noticed improvements in agency operations. Now it goes to say, I believe that we still have work to do. But where we are currently is vastly different from where we were just 1 year ago. We've successfully rebuilt the agency from a crisis point following a mass staff walkout. When I first began with the SS as director, we had 6 employees. We now have 20, and that improves our ability to work with our community, to provide more outreach, and to continue to expand on our successes. We have restored an operational infrastructure. We had a long-standing connectivity issue with connecting to our state network, and that has been resolved. It did take nearly a year to resolve, but happy to say that we now have that connectivity available to us. This will help us to boost efficiency and reliability because we now have access to the systems that allow us to do the work for the community. It allows us to access these systems that help us to complete the applications for services that come in, and also to connect to systems for child protective services and adult protective services. We have eliminated a 3-year backlog of child protective investigations, ensuring every impacted family was contacted and assessed. Our CPS first contact of timeliness increased. Last July, we were at 30.8% to now 83%, with multiple months reaching 100%. I would like to include that at times timeliness is not dependent upon the agency. If efforts are made, and that is included in our timeliness, we attempt to see the family at every point within 24 hours currently. CPS referrals closed before the due date surged from 6.3% to now 97.4%, surpassing state benchmarks. Public benefits processing, we are at this point still experiencing some challenges with processing our public benefits timely. However, we did have a consistently high SNAP timeliness report in April and May at 100%. Medicaid timeliness improved, reaching 89.9% in June. This metric does indicate a room for improvement, but that is an overall increase last year of 9% in 1 year. We continue to look at fiscal responsibility and savings for the community, including costs and an annual savings of 87% on some of our operating functions. We've identified and pursued new grant opportunities to expand services for families. We continue to work with our community partners, including our Sheriff's Office, Fire and Rescue, state leaders, and DSS directors across Virginia. And we continue to learn from each other so that we can provide for our community and meet the needs. Over the Christmas holidays, we served 52 families and 133 children for the Toys for Tots operation with the Marines. And for Angel Tree, we were able to serve 29 families and 74 children. Our monthly foster care visit performance continues to improve. We're still below the target for the state. However, the community should understand the agency is actively working to strengthen this. Our in-residence visits are showing a positive upward trends across the quarter. I've mentioned before at a previous meeting that we are currently in phase 2 of strengthening our operations. This includes employee manuals, standard operating procedures, committees to improve our ability to serve our community internally, outreach, and wellness training. Phase 3 will include optimization and rebranding. We'll look at efficiency, continue to measure outcomes based on our own KPIs as well as the state targets that we're required to meet. And we'll launch a department brand that reflects a new culture and standards of excellence. I'm extremely proud of the team that we're working with. We have an entirely new set of employees who have come in and trained with us. And at this point, it's time to work on our operations and get us to the point where we're not only successful with our targets, but we are operating in excellence. As director, I value dignity, respect, compassion, accountability, and timely intervention as core values. And I am guiding my departments for improvements daily. I would like to remind you all that we have our advisory board meeting every 2 months on the second Tuesday at 5 p.m. Our next meeting is September 8th at 5 p.m. And during this time, I will go over more in-depth data regarding our targets for state and federal compliance and provide more information on the life of our phases and our projects. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wolfkill.
what she didn't mention was at the last advisory meeting, the state ombudsman was there. He's been in office since 2007, and in his entire history, he never saw a DSS department turn around as fast and as strong as ours has in the last 18 months. It was a big lift. I'm sorry for your circumstances, but I have no doubt it'll be taken care of. It's not, well,
This isn't a debate.
but we're talking about Appomattox. We're not talking nationally.
This isn't a debate. You can discuss, I saw Ms. Wright give you her card, you can discuss those issues with her. This is not the place to debate it in this
But
meeting.
I know the heavy lift you did, and I know that we are tremendously, remarkably better than we were 18 months ago. And everybody pitched in and everybody worked countless hours. And I greatly appreciate it because it was a mess. Thank you.
We thank you for what you do, and we realize that it may not be perfect yet. But I saw you reach out, and hopefully you can win this young lady over. Any other, Ms. Simpson?
Mr. Chairman, just a in-the-weeds question on the integration, I guess, with the state. Is that did you get like a dedicated Vita internet connection, or what is that?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you now have independent, you're not like paying Shintel, but it's through state contract?
We are required to have both. So for independent internet, we do have Shintel so that we can have general operating internet. And then additionally, we have the state network.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wright.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Ms. Hips?
I would just add, Ms. Johnson, I appreciate your bravery. I know that it takes a lot to come up there and say that sort of stuff publicly. It's very personal, too. And I do think that it's going to be, well, I know that it's going to be taken care of. Your complaints are going to be answered. But I do want to encourage you to have all of those people who are making complaints to make those complaints formally. I just, since you're saying that there are other people, we want to hear that, okay? We want to hear from those people. And Ms. Adams, do we still have we used to have well, how would you recommend that they contact? Would you like to be emailed? Okay. All right. And if there's no response to the emails, you can copy the whole board, this board.
Thank you. Okay, up next is Mr. Les Feet, Commonwealth Attorney, has requested to appear before the board to discuss FY27 department salary adjustments.
Good evening. What I'm asking for tonight is going to be quick and simple. The board has already approved my office's budget for this coming year. And in that budget, you allocated certain supplement money for positions in the office to bring them on par with similar Commonwealth Attorney's office in the area. We found out in late spring that the grant that finances the part-time prosecutor for the domestic violence and sexual abuse program was increased by the state. They let us know last minute and said, if you want the increase, reapply. So we are reapplied. It's a substantial increase. We were approved. We found out formally that we were approved the first part of June, so last month. Due to that increase, the supplement money that I had on that position to make it marketable and as a part-time prosecutor, I wanted to allocate that money to other positions in the office to bring them up to par with similar positions in the surrounding area, so that I can keep the good people that I have. There's no new money involved. It's just moving money that the board has already approved for the office from one position to appropriate it, if you will, to 3 other positions to bring those positions up. I believe you have copies of the letters that we sent to Human Resources here in the county. Tippy Luckadoo, showing the increase and how much of the increase for the 3 positions. And I was told that because the board had already approved the budget for this coming year, that I had to come before you and ask for you, I guess, permission to reallocate that money to these 3 new positions.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Simpson.
I trust our constitutionals. It's not asking for any additional funding. I'll move that we approve the request as presented.
Yeah. Ms. Adams, I was going to ask you what the procedure would be for this.
Okay. The only reason that Mr. Fleet had to come before the board, it's not in his department budget. There's a separate budget for the victim witness person. So I'm not authorized to move funds between departments. I can only do it, if it were in his department, I could do it. But otherwise, that's why it had to come before the board. Like he said, there are no new local funds. It's a matter of just moving funds around. You had allocated, it's a part-time grant position that he's speaking about, and you had matched those funds a couple of years ago to make it a full-time position. So it's called the Victim Witness Prosecutor Grant that he's talking about. That's a separate department, that he will be moving those funds from that department into his department.
And what I had done is I had taken when it was full-time, I reallocated some of that money, made that part-time again, because the person who was interested was already part-time as in the same position in another county. So I reapportioned that money to make that part-time.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Hips?
I'll second Mr.
All right, motion been made by Mr. Simpson and second by Mr. Hips that Commonwealth Attorney Les Fleet be allowed to transfer those funds as he has submitted a request for. Any other discussion? Mr. Simpson?
Aye.
Mr. Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Hips?
Aye.
Mr. Whipskill? Aye. I vote aye also. Thank you. And keep
Thank
up
you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Economic Development Kojana Incentive Agreement. Per the attached agreement, please transfer by consent $25,000 from the general fund and appropriate to 8105-6007 special projects in the FY26 operating budget. This is to reimburse the EDA for an annual tax incentive payment to Kojana LLC. The company paid a total of $18,995.76 in 2025 taxes. The agreement states that the board will vote annually for the distribution of the payment. We've been here before, gentlemen. Is there a motion to approve the EDA $25,000 request transfer?
So moved.
Reverend Jones has moved. We transfer the funds. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Simpson has made a second. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Whipskill?
$18,000, thank you, $995. Why are we giving them $25,000?
Because the agreement, initial agreement, back when the hotel was brought here, the agreement was made $25,000 for a certain amount of years. The way the agreement was written.
Okay.
Any others? So is that a yes vote? Is that okay? How do you vote on the motion? All right, Mr. Hips? Aye. Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Reverend Jones?
Yes.
I vote aye also. All right, next up, Appomattox County Public Schools. The Appomattox County School Board was recently notified of the adjustments that were made in the approved state budget. The approved FY27 total budget is $36,875,530, which has increased the local match to $9,641,079, which is a difference of $252,803 from the previously appropriated amount. Dr. Tibbs is requesting that the board consider consideration of increase the local school funding for the FY 2027 budget in the amount of $253,803 to match the approved state budget that was passed in June 29 of 2026. Is there a motion to approve the increase in the school budget for 2025 or 2027 in the amount of $252,803, along with authorization for the staff to appropriate additional $646,224 to the school budget, which is the additional state funding from the state. So we have the state increase of $646,224, and we have the local match increase of $252,803. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Reverend Jones has moved that we add the amounts to the county budget. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Simpson has seconded. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hips?
Well, Dr. Tibbs, I'm sure you didn't think you could slide through on it without a question. So, I can't ignore the fact that in number 5 that we're going to be transferring excess money that you didn't spend in the tune of almost $600,000 in agenda item 5. Is there no way that you can absorb some of the, and we've had this discussion in years past for other times where we weren't able to fund the complete number. I assume in general, most times your answer is going to be that that $594,944 is spoken for. But I'll give it the opportunity. It would be nice if we could offset $250,000 that we are not getting, that we have to come up with.
If that is the will of this board, that you all would like for us to entertain that, we can entertain that, as we have done in the past. We also, because that number 5 is asking for is from FY 25 fiscal year. We also project that we're going to have a little bit of carryover from FY 26. So once the audit is done for FY 26, we could look at potentially reappropriating some of that money into the FY 27 budget, which is what we did, I think it was 2 years ago, so that we can do that. It's all local money, so it's just a matter of how we adjust and how we move. We would like to get, as we did those couple years ago, getting this money, however we partner together to do it, allows us to take advantage of all of the incentive programs and all of the lottery funded programs, which allows us to get that full $646,000 in additional money from the state. I have to certify to the state that the locality is going to give us that money in order for us to start getting the deposits to equate to that $646,000. How we partner and come up with that is something that the two boards, and myself and Ms. Adams, figure out.
Ms. Adams, any suggestions there?
Well, I think he mentioned looking at the excess funds they'll have at the end of FY 26, which will be later on into this fiscal year. But as long as we handle that agreement within this fiscal year, I think we're good with your certification. Correct?
Certainly.
The only thing it will do will reduce the amount that you would typically put into their CIP fund from end-of-year savings.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Simpson?
do you know what the current balance of your CIP is?
It's about $800,000.
And are you using that essentially for incremental capital projects? And it's generally far too low to do construction, but
Correct.
replacement of an HVAC unit or?
Correct. Like, for example, this summer, we have replaced some flooring in some of the schools, which is a high dollar item, and various other projects that typically you can't afford to do out of the general fund, and so you go to CIP to do that. The parking lot across the way needs to be resealed and relined and things of that nature, because with DSS coming back, as Ms. Wright talked about, there's a lot of traffic coming through that parking lot, and one of the things that we've noticed is We need to put some directional arrows so that there's a one-way lane of travel around the building. So it's those types of things that money is used for.
And does the school board keep an active CIP plan?
We do.
With projects?
Mhm.
Okay. That would be interesting to see. Would be very helpful.
All right, any other further discussion? Call the question, Mr. Simpson?
Aye.
Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Hips? Mr. Whipskill?
I'm with Mr. Hips. That CIP fund, people don't really understand how that was created so that when the school reached the end of their year, they had money left over, so then it went in that CIP fund. So it is money that the county taxpayers already gave, and it's not like it's called the CIP to be the capital improvement project, which originally, long before I was on the board, I believe, Ms. Adams, when they wanted to take money out of the CIP, they had to come get the board approval. But that doesn't matter. But I'm with Mr. Hips. Can't we at least split the difference?
Well, gentlemen, as I understand it, what Ms. Adams says, we can vote on this and approve it as it is now, and then when the further state audit comes in later this year, we can then look at moving CIP funds back in to pay us back. Is that right, Ms. Adams?
We can do it either way. We can do it at the time that the end-of-year savings has been audited, where we know what that amount is. We would just reduce the amount by this much that we would pay back to the schools, is what I was thinking. But if you wanted to do it that way, you could front the money, and then with their approval, then you could reimburse the county for that amount.
So,
or
Mr.
whatever.
Attorney, would we have to include in our motion that the funds are going to be coming from the CIP, or can we pass the motion the way it was submitted and vote it later on about the CIP funds?
Well, you've already called the question on the motion. So I think that
You're right.
if you wanted to make any adjustments to that, that would have to be a further discussion of the board member who made the motion to make any additional changes.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Simpson?
if I may ask a question, is that in order for this point?
Do what?
Would it be in order for me to ask another question at this point, or do I need to?
Go ahead and ask my question.
Is there a clawback on state categorical aid or any of the aid that we received in the previous fiscal year if we were to not allow you to keep the $594,000 as retained CIP? Okay, so that could return to the general fund. And in absence of us acting, Ms. Adams, how long can this $594,000 sit in limbo from a good accounting practices standpoint?
As long as you would like it. It's just a local MOU between the schools and the county. And it's been audited, is why it's coming before you now, because the end of that audit period is over. You will have to reappropriate that money regardless of when you do it.
Okay. And you presently have $800,000 in your CIP. Mr. Chairman, if I could categorize or contextualize, I guess, this vote, if we vote to approve this motion as presented, that allows us to get an extra $600,000 from the state. We can table this until if we need to have further discussion about their CIP or some split or return to the general fund of some monies to cover this $300,000. But if we don't approve this 200, basically, what's the timeline you need?
I have to do the certification by the end of this month.
So if we don't do that tonight, basically, we miss out on another $600,000 in state aid. But I think we can, make it 6 or half a dozen in the next 60 or 90 days.
And just so you understand, at the end of the fiscal year, any unspent funds roll into the general fund. So any money that's spent out from the prior year will have to be reappropriated into the new fiscal budget. So right now, it's sitting in our general fund undesignated until we designate it.
All right.
Point of clarification, and just to be sure, so I can recall my vote. We are, my vote in the affirmative, we can still take this out of the CIP, the access funds. Yeah.
Yep,
And
eliminated it.
what I'm caveating that under is under the language of the motion that was presented.
And to provide clarification, I think what Mr. Simpson is saying, you can continue the vote on this motion, and when you get to number 5, that one would be the one that you would table and not.
All right, that's fine with me. I'll vote aye.
And I vote yes also. All right. So you can certify the funds, Mr. Tibbs.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, next up is the school appropriation request for FY 2026 end-of-year spending CIP fund. Per the agreement between the school board and the Board of Supervisors, the school end-of-year contribution savings will be transferred to the school capital improvement fund after official audit is performed and reported to the Board of Supervisors. The amount of year-end savings verified for the FY 2025 audit is $594,944. Attached for the board's review is a letter from Dr. Tibbs requesting the balance of unspent funds be transferred to the school capital improvement fund. And based on what I hear from the board, and I can table that as chairman till the next meeting. Okay, that's been tabled to August. All right, next up, request for 1.5 COLA increase. In the FY 27 budget, the board approved and appropriated a 2% cost of living adjustment COLA for the county employees based on the state's recommendation for the employees, effective August 1st, 2026. The county aligns with the state's recommendation for the annual COLA increase. When the governor signed for the final FY 27 budget bill on June 29, 2026, a 3.5% COLA was included for state employees. Department heads are requesting the board consideration to approve additional 1.5 COLA increase for county employees, totaling 3.5% for COLA employee increases. Staff recommends consideration approval of the 1.5 COLA increase for a 3.5% total for the county employees effective August 1, 2026. The additional 1.5 request for salary and benefits is approximately $100K. Gentlemen, we've done this for our employees in the past. I'll accept a motion to approve the additional COLA increase.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Reverend Jones has made the motion to approve the 1.5 additional COLA. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Wolfskill seconded. Discussion? Mr. Simpson?
Aye.
Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Hips? Mr. Wolfskill?
Aye.
I vote aye also. All right, next up, Library Director salary request. Attached for review and consideration is a letter from the chair of the J. Robert Jamerson Library Board requesting salary increase for Ms. Cindy Shue, Library Director. Ms. Ford is requesting a salary adjustment of $3,131 to fulfill the terms of Ms. Shue's contract with the Library Board post completion of her Master's of Library degree. Staff recommends consideration of Ms. Ford's request to adjust the Library Director's salary to $56,600, an increase of $3,131. If approved, an additional appropriation of $822 is in order to pay benefits associated with the increase. The total appropriation request is $3,953 for the FY 27 library budget. Ms. Ford, I have a question for you. She's not here. Okay. Shucks. Okay, my question for Ms. Ford was that I was looking at the contract with Ms. Shue, and nowhere in there does it say we were going to pay for her master's degree. And I understand that we have paid out almost $25,000 for her to complete her master's degree. So I was wondering if the library board had been prudent and put a caveat on that she had to stay for so many years. Since the last library director that we paid their tuition to, they left shortly after getting their master's degree.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hips?
I would move that we table this until next month pending more information.
I agree.
Second.
And Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Simpson?
I would point out, since it is courthouse district, I believe, Ms. Ford is currently, her term is expired, so she may not be the point of contact with that.
Well, no, so noted. All right, so we'll table the library director salary request till August. All right, next up, Library Board of Trustees. At the July meeting, the appointment of 2 representatives to the Library Board of Trustees was tabled until August. Please appoint a representative for the courthouse district. This is July. This says it was tabled to the August meeting. Typo?
Typo.
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Simpson?
I apologize, but this is just on the previous point. I noticed right before coming into the meeting, Ms. Adams had sent out a scanned letter, and it might be what you have a printout of. Yes, sir, I believe it's that. Does anyone here know, Ms. Adams, it says at the bottom, it was that the library board may apply for a fellowship for a staff member to pursue a Master of Library Science from an accredited institution using state aid funds. Was that payment made with state aid funds? Okay. Huh.
I can speak to that. It's a fellowship fund that typically, when you receive state aid funds, it pays 17% of the director's salary. So because she did not have her certification, she can apply for the state aid that will assist her in her education to obtain that certification.
So the $25,000 that the library board appropriated or reimbursed her for her degree, that's what my understanding is, that was state dedicated or categorical aid for that thing. Like, we couldn't have used it for anything else.
My understanding, yes, we could have used it for other programs because
Okay.
it's part of that state aid allocation that could not be used toward the director's salary.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back to appointing a representative for the courthouse district for a 4-year term beginning July 1, 2006 and ending on July 30th of 2026.
Mr.
Is
Chairman.
there nominations for the courthouse district library board
Mr. Chairman.
position? Mr. Wolfskill.
I nominate Mrs. Adam Scott for the courthouse district position of our library board. Mrs. Adam Scott?
Okay, is there any other nominations?
Amanda Scott.
Oh, okay. What you're saying, I must stop.
Any other
I did.
nominations?
Um,
This is for the
Mrs.
courthouse district.
oh, okay. So, all right.
All right, now, are there any other nominations for the courthouse district? Is there a motion to appoint?
I'll second Mr. Wolfskill's nomination.
Well, it'd be an appointment, not a nomination. If he wants to appoint her, we have to have a motion to appoint.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Simpson?
just for clarity of the record, and
It was my motion
You
to
made the
appoint her.
motion to appoint.
That was my,
Okay, I'm sorry, I
I'm
didn't hear that.
seconding his
could I
motion.
just get clarity on the name again?
Mrs. Amanda Scott.
Amanda Scott.
Yes.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Mrs. Amanda Scott as the courthouse district representative on the Appomattox Library Board of Trustees. Any further discussion? Mr. Wolfskill.
Aye.
Mr. Hips.
Aye.
Reverend Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Simpson.
I trust the rest of you, so I don't know this person.
Okay, so that's an aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye also. All right, new courthouse district representative will be Miss Amanda Scott. All right, next up is to appoint a library representative for the Piney Mountain District. Is there nominations for the Piney Mountain District Library Board representative?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Reverend Jones.
Yes, I was contacted by 2 people, Pastor Ramon and also Mrs. Madeline Abbott is interested in being reappointed. She contacted me and she wanted the board to know that she was not aware of some of the displays that was placed in the library. And she is interested in being reappointed.
All right, Mr. Reverend Jones has nominated Ms. Abbott. Is there Additional nominations?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wolfskill?
I nominate Reverend Dr. Paul Michael Raymond for the Piney Mountain District position for our library board.
All righty. Under the Robert rules, first nominated is the first to vote on. So is there a motion to appoint Miss Adams, or excuse me, Miss Abbott, I get my A's mixed up, Miss Abbott to another 4-year term at the board? Is there a motion to that effect to appoint Miss Abbott?
I'll make that motion.
Reverend Jones has made a motion to appoint Mrs. Abbott to a 4-year term. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Simpson has seconded. So the motion's been made and seconded to appoint Mrs. Abbott to additional 4-year term as a Piney Mountain District Representative on the Library Board. Any questions? All right,
Take the
call
vote.
for the vote. Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Reverend Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Wolfskill?
No.
Mr. Hips?
No.
And I vote aye also.
Vote on, no, aye.
All right, is there a motion to appoint the nominee, Reverend Paul Michael?
You said you vote aye also.
You meant no.
I sure did.
It's okay.
Mr. Chairman, where do
Mr.
we go
Simpson.
from here?
So now we vote on Reverend Doctor.
I think we need to at least have the attorney on record to
Yeah,
give us a cleanup statement there.
I'm not clear whether that was an affirmative for Ms. Abbott or a negative for Mrs. Abbott.
That was, I meant to be a negative, if I can recall my vote, but I go with what the attorney rules.
I do not recall whether or not you made it official that the appointment was approved. I don't think you got that far, so I think that you can recall your vote and change it.
All right, I'll recall my vote and say nay to the appointment of Mrs. Abbott. So that brings the next nominee up. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Raymond?
I make that motion.
Mr. Wolfskill's made the motion to appoint Mr. Raymond. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hips has seconded. Discussion? All right, call the question. Mr. Simpson?
Aye.
Reverend Jones?
No.
Mr. Hips?
All right.
Mr. Wolfskill?
Aye.
And I vote aye also. So Reverend Paul Michael Raymond is the new Piney Mountain District Representative. All right, next up, Central Virginia Community College Board. Please appoint a representative to serve on the Central Virginia Community College Board. Dr. Jeffrey Grant has completed his second consecutive 4-year term. Therefore, he's not eligible for reappointment at this time. Please note that no elected member of either the General Assembly, Appomattox County Board of Supervisors, or a past full-time employee of the Central Virginia Community College is eligible. Have we come up with any nominees for that position? I know you were talking to somebody, weren't you, Ms. Simpson?
That individual wasn't interested. I have 2 others that I'd like to reach out to if we don't have a name at this point, if nobody else has a name they'd like to recommend. Both of them were longtime school teachers who have recently retired, and I think either one of them would be great candidates, but I just haven't asked them yet.
All righty. Barring any other comments, we'll table that till next month.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hips.
Mrs. Adam, when is the commitment for that board? Do you know? So that we can reach out to people?
4 years.
No,
I mean-
I mean, how often are they meeting? Do you know what the commitment is for the person?
I believe it's every quarter. They have quarterly meetings.
Okay.
And I don't remember what Dr. Capps had said about what time that meeting, but I'm thinking it's 4:30.
It's hard to ask somebody to participate if you don't know what's required of them. If you could email that information to us, I have somebody in mind also. Thanks.
All right, next up, consent agenda. Consent agenda includes approval of all bills, minutes, supplemental appropriations, line item transfers, and fund transfers Any item on the consent agenda shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the vote on the consent agenda. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be considered by the board individually in order in which they were removed from the consent agenda immediately following consideration of consent agenda. Is there any changes or removal from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve as submitted.
I'll motion to approve is submitted. Would a comment or a question about it be appropriate at this point or after we vote?
After the second. All right, Mr. Simpson's moved to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, but seconded by both Reverend Jones and Mr. Hips. All right, discussion. Question time, Mr. Simpson.
Ms. Adams, just two requests or questions about feasibility. It looks like when we do, I don't know if they're ACHs or just bill paychecks or something, regardless of vendor, they show up as Bank of America.
Bank of America is their credit card.
Is there a way that's feasible in our accounting system to actually see the vendor? Do we categorize against that?
Not when, because we pay, who we're paying is Bank of America. So in our system, it just has the account code, so we can, on your sheet of invoices, you can see which department it was coded to. Now, if you want to know the vendors, we could, I'm not sure how we
We just
track
don't
it.
currently track that.
Mm-mm.
Okay, understood. And then the other piece, and I'm happy to, if any other board members interested, to do this as a small group or what have you, but, we spent a lot of money on a new round of IT equipment, almost $100,000, or it looks like over $100,000 between CX Tech, Network Craze, and Pamlic Inc. I would just appreciate meeting with IT staff and learning about what each component is and what will be recurring costs versus one-time costs, if that's reasonable.
Is that request to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, would that be possible to schedule in the next month or so? And
Yeah, I'll coordinate that with the IT staff.
if any other board member would like to come.
That's your better than
All righty. Call the question. Mr. Simpson.
Aye.
Mr. Reverend Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Hips.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfskill. I vote aye also to approve the consent agenda. All right. Attorney's report.
I have nothing at this time.
All right. Administration report, Ms. Adams.
Yes, sir, fellow board members. Basically, I have 6 pages of departmental data. I will not review all 6 pages. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. There are a couple of things I would like to comment on. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Nathan and Kaylee on the birth of their new child yesterday. Congratulations to the new member of your family. Also, it isn't typical that I try to resolve any issues, but there was something earlier stated during citizen comment, and I do have facts surrounding those comments that if you will allow me, I will review those. First of all, Mr. Mitchell had mentioned that he had met with me on several occasions. I've never met with him face-to-face. The only time I've ever met him is in this boardroom. Also, he mentioned Mr. Vinoy. He had requested to meet with him, but the request to meet with us was based on an employee who had a restraining order. So it wasn't only employee matters, but it was legal matters. So we asked Mr. Vinoy asked the sheriff to investigate, and if there were any findings, to bring it back to us so that we could address it with the employee. Also, to my knowledge, there were no findings that was anything that we would be able to address with the employee. But Mr. Vinoy also said that anything related to anybody's cases, the dispatchers do not have that information, and they do not view it. So there would be no way, unless a dispatcher heard it through a rumor mill, that anything occurred with any cases in the county. Basically, they record dispatch calls. So, and as we all know, those dispatch sheets are public record, so anybody can have access to that information. And if you have any further questions on that or something that you feel like that we should have done differently, I'll be happy to entertain that. at any given time.
Any further questions from Ms. Adams? Yes. And also attached is, for information, is the Sand Anderson Delinquent Tax Status Report. And now it's time for supervisor concerns. Mr. Simpson.
One, I call it a win. I think it's pretty cool. I sent out an email to the board. We did get the digitized minutes back to 1892 in around the July 4th holiday. I've obtained a copy from Ace and went through and made just like compressed versions so you can actually go through it, because the images we got are kind of huge. So it's neat to peruse through. We just have to make a decision. I know we had all talked in email about putting them publicly on the website, but just wanted to make sure that was still the intent to put it out there, and if so, we can ask staff to do that.
Yeah, that would be interesting, that history.
It's neat, yeah. About a quarter of them are handwritten in script, and so they take a minute to parse, but.
Reverend Jones, any concerns?
No concerns. I'd like to thank Mr. Simpson for his historical interests, because I use it all the time. Thank you.
Mr. Wolfskill. Mr. Hips.
Just an ongoing concern with something that's happened for years, which is unfunded mandates on the county, this time to the tune of $350,000, which we have to come up with, and the way we come up with that is from taxpayer money, and that's not okay, especially when the state just said that they had a massive surplus. So those two things don't go together. I'd like to see that change.
Amen to that. I can congratulate the Simpsons on their second newborn, or second child also. I echo Mr. Hips on these unfunded mandates and also things that the state's doing to us. If I read it right, under their new housing mandate that they put down to us, the people out there in Falling River Country Club enjoying their homes could be forced to accept a single wide pre-built on an empty lot next to them, next to their $600,000 home. And I don't think that's right for the state to force that kind of stuff on us, but I'm not in the state. And then my other concern is how Mr. Mitchell gets by with putting just disgusting and degrading comments on Facebook about our county employees. And he's got 1,800 subscribers, and I think if people would just step up and say, hey, I don't want to hear that crap anymore, and quit subscribing to him, maybe he'd go away. But for some reason, our society just lives on that stuff. But that's my final comment. And now, is there a motion to go into closed session? Attorney?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the motion would be that the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors enter into closed session for a discussion relating to the negotiation of a proposed performance agreement where bargaining is involved and where the release of such information would adversely affect the bargaining position of the county related to the industrial park, and a discussion related to the negotiation of proposed settlement and water resolution agreements relating to Region 2000 and CCUSA, both of which are pursuant to Section 2.23711A29 of the Code of Virginia.
All right. Somebody got to make that motion as read? So moved. All right, Mr. Wolfskills made the motion, Reverend Jones seconded. We're going to move out of here. The rest of you want to sit there and converse, and that's fine.